Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are going to present psychological mechanisms. That is the subject that we have been discussing in psycholinguistics. And our team is made by Asbelmy Gutiérrez, Rafael Pernia, and Katherine Quintero. We are going to talk about very important things. We are going to talk about knowledge structure, serial processing, and parallel processing. We are going to begin with knowledge structure.
Hello everyone, I am Rafael Pernia and I'm going to talk about knowledge structures or awareness structures. In psycholinguistics, the study of how language is processed and represented in the mind, various knowledge structures play a crucial role. It basically provides a framework for understanding and categorizing information with the purpose of allowing us to make connections, retrieve information efficiently, and reason about complex concepts. These knowledge structures include lexical knowledge, syntactic, semantic, discourse, pragmatic, and phonological knowledge. The number one, as I said, is lexical knowledge. What is this? It represents or it refers to the mental representation of individual words in a person's vocabulary. For example, if we talk about evaluating, I can say, okay, I'm going to evaluate my students. But if my superior, my coordinator, is going to evaluate my performance, I can say, I'm going to have an appraisal with my director, my coordinator. So the word appraisal has the meaning of evaluation. Both of them mean the same, but in different way. So my lexical knowledge is capable of recognizing both of the words. So I could say that the lexical awareness or the lexical knowledge is wider. The number two is syntactic knowledge. What is this? It involves understanding of grammar rules, but not only rules, also structures that govern how words can combine to form sentences or phrases. It includes word orders, sentence structure, phrases structure, and grammatical categories. One example could be black car. If I say I have a black car, that's correct because first goes the adjective black and then car. But sometimes students say car black in Spanish. When they know English and they want to learn Spanish, they say car black. That's a syntactic knowledge. Why? Because first goes the adjective and then the noun. But the communication is done? Yes, it's done. But there is that syntactic mistake. This third one is semantic knowledge. The semantic is basically related to meaning and interpretation of words. Not only words, also phrases and sentences. How words work, conceptual relationships, and the organization of concepts and this kind of thing. For example, if I have the word pen as a tool of writing, pen a female swan, pen could be also a portable enclosure for a baby. So the word pen behaves in a different way in a different context. In Spanish, a good example could be banco. Depending on the word banco goes, it can have a different semantic meaning. The fourth one is discourse knowledge. What is this? It refers about how we organize our structural language to have larger communications. For example, if we have a speech in front of people and the topic of that speech is about pollution, so I have to prepare in advance what goes at the beginning, which is the introduction, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm here, and so on. Then the brief introduction about the topic, then probably the causes, the consequences, the secondary ideas, then probably a suggestion of a solution, then conclusion, and then saying goodbye. So that structure is the discourse, I'm going to say, and it has to have also a discourse markers like connectors, having coherence in between ideas. On the other hand, I want to talk about the 5-1, which is pragmatic knowledge. Pragmatic knowledge involves the understanding of how language is used in social interactions. It can be polite, it can be formal or informal, it depending on the context of use. Omrani and some others say that pragmatic is a critical issue that has been discussed over time and has been studied also with the idea of getting focus on pragmatic comprehension, grammatical errors, speech acts, among others. The number 6, last one, is phonological knowledge. Phonological knowledge is basically how words and rules are represented in our mind related to sounds in language. Particularly this topic, phonological knowledge, is really interesting and important when English first language learners are learning English. Because when a student, a young learner, is learning English in the United States or in UK, wherever they are, they identify individual words, recognize also rhyming, alliteration, phonetic awareness. For example, if you are teaching them the word a, then you have to do a list of vocabulary. Why? Because English is not a phonetical language, so you can write a list of words with a, which could be pan, can, hat, bat, mat, rat, and so on. So the short a is represented with different words. Even the Victoria state government state that phonetical knowledge consists of several components, which includes identifying individual words, syllables in words, recognizing and creating rhyming, alliteration, and phonemic awareness. To conclude with my topic, these knowledge structures interact and influence each other during language processing. In psycholinguistic research, it aims to understand how structures are represented in the mind, how are accessed, and how are used during language processing. For example, I am here in India and people say director. They use, this free variation instead of saying tomato, they say tomato. Of course, with their accent, but this is the kind of thing. They say tomato, or they use vegetable. They, use the sound e, the second sound e. They don't say vegetable, they say vegetable. So these kind of things are important at the end of the day when you are aware of the structures of how language is not only acquired, how it is processed in our mind. Thank you so much.
Serial processing. According to Thompson, in 1990, serial processing refers to a model of information processing in which tasks or operations are performed one after another, sequentially, in a step-by-step manner. In this approach, each task or operation must be completed before the next one can be initiated. Serial processing is often contrasted with parallel processing, as you will see later on, where multiple tasks or operations are performed simultaneously. In serial processing, the system proceeds through a series of steps in a linear fashion, focusing on one task at a time. This approach has been widely studied in cognitive psychology and neuroscience to understand how humans and machines process information. Serial processing can be observed in various cognitive tasks, such as problem solving, language comprehension, and decision making. For instance, when solving a complex math problem, individuals often break it down into smaller steps and solve them one after another, following a specific order. Another case could be when you do a treasure hunt. You need to solve the first puzzle to get to the second part. Similarly, in language comprehension, words and sentences are processed sequentially, with each new piece of information building up the previous ones. It's worth noting that the concept of serial processing has been challenged in some areas of cognitive science, with alternative models proposing that processing can occur in a more parallel or distributed manner. However, serial processing still holds value in
Parallel processing. In the field of psychology and knowledge, the concept parallel processing is to refer to the brain's ability to process multiple similitude or varying quality at the same time. This phenomenon is typically associated with the visual system as the brain divides incoming visual information into four distinct components. These components are colors, motion, shape, and depth. These individual components are then analyzed and compared to pre-existing memory, which is in the identification of what is being seen. According to David Rommenhall, the brain combines all these individual components to form a cohesive and understandable visual file. This process is seamless and continuous, and it enables individuals to process multiple sources of information at the same time, such as when attending to listen to conversation happening in the same time in the moment. Also, in the year 1990, David Homeker created the parallel distribution process model with the intention of using a computing simulation to study the neutral process. This model has some aspects, and there are number one, processing unit, two, activation state, 3. Function that generate output. 4. The partner connective. 5. The rule of propagation. 6. The activation rule. 7. Learning rule. And the last one, environment representation.
To finish our presentation, we want to show you these 3 questions that were meant to be a discussion in class, during the class, but in our opinion, it's important for you to have them there and to consider and reflect on them. And in this way, you can check if this content is clear, or if you have questions or doubts, let us know. And that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching us. Bye.